All right. Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to the Treeline Podcast. Please like, follow, subscribe if you haven't already. Please also, I don't know if I've been saying this enough or at all, but share, dude. I don't know. I guess I just haven't been saying that. But share as well. Please share the Treeline Podcast stuff. If you see it, share it. Tonight, we're drinking White Claws. Just relaxing. Trying not to let life fucking mind fuck me to death. So I'm going to try to ease the mind with some White Claws tonight. So if you don't want your mind to be mind fucked to death, then you should probably just claw the fuck out of it with a White Claw. And if that makes sense to you, then good. Otherwise, anyways, yeah. So I got the internet pulled up. I don't know about what I was going to look into. I guess I was just kind of chilling, not doing a whole lot of fucking anything tonight. So I guess I didn't make a plan for tonight. I guess I'm just going on a rant. It's just like when I'm trying to record every day, it's hard to figure out shit to come up with. So I guess today is just going to be just a rant right off the top of the dome. So let's start with current events, huh? What's going on in the world today? Anything special? Let me see, man. I don't think there's a whole lot of special shit going on in the world today besides us giving all our money to fucking the Ukraine so they can fight their war, and then only giving like $700 checks to the people in Maui because their house is burned down, and then trying to size up the land that's left over after the fires to give to the state. So like, not only did these guys lose their homes, they lost their homes, they burned to the ground, but now the state's trying to, after offering them a $700 check. Wow. Mind you, they're sending money to Ukraine, like billions of dollars. And did you know that they just sent Ukraine supposedly like $6 billion, and this $6 billion I guess it was like they overlooked it, so it was extra money that we had forgot to send to Ukraine, but then something along the lines, we just gave it to them anyways. I guess it was they overseen it. It was $6 billion, and then they just gave it to them anyways right after the fires in Maui. So like, we had extra money, you know what I'm saying? Like, but we just gave it to the Ukraine. What was that? $6 billion extra dollars to the Ukraine. It's just getting out of hand, my guy. Ukraine got 6.2 extra in U.S. military aid. Let's take a look at that real quick.
What if you could do SEO smarter and faster? With Wix, you can edit your meta tags, page by page, or all in one.
The Pentagon found that it had overestimated the amount of funding for ammunition, missiles, and other equipment it sent to Ukraine by $6.2 billion due to an accounting error. Let's listen.
First of all, who's the accountant? Who's the fucking accountant that made that error? That's a huge error. But I'm pretty sure he's about to go into, basically, we overshot the amount of money we were supposed to give him, and we found it as a clerical error, but we gave them the money anyways, I'm pretty sure.
Following up from some announcements earlier this year, during the department's regular oversight of our execution of Presidential Drawdown Authority for Ukraine, we discovered inconsistencies in equipment valuation for Ukraine. In a significant number of cases, services used replacement costs rather than net book value, thereby overestimating the value of the equipment drawn down from U.S. stocks and provided to Ukraine. Once we discovered this misvaluation, the comptroller reissued guidance on March 31st, clarifying how to value equipment in line with the financial management regulation and DoD.
So did we just not know how much everything was worth, it sounds like? We just over-evaluated the... What is it we're giving them money for? Like, we're giving them money to stock them up with weapons, right? And we're giving them money to train their dudes. So what, did they over-evaluate that? Like, I feel like after 20 years experience of just military finance, I feel like the White House should have it locked down by now. They should be able to kind of financially evaluate. They have 20 years experience. They should be able to unfuck this. I don't know how do you overlook $6.2 billion? It's a lot of money.
Policy to ensure we use the most accurate of accounting methods. We have confirmed that for FY23, the final calculation is $3.6 billion. And for FY22, it is $2.6 billion for a combined total of $6.2 billion. These valuation errors in no way limit or restricted the size of any of our PDAs or impacted the provision of support to Ukraine. And while the DoD retains the authority to utilize the recaptured PDA, this has no bearing on appropriated USAI.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to watch this whole thing. I'm not going to put you guys through it. It's just surprising. I know that they said I thought that
bad in the context of the American military. And I don't think it's that difficult to understand why that is or how this just happens to keep happening in this one sector of government. Now, imagine if you found out that the social security money, 62% of it or 60 whatever percent of funds being paid into Social Security was going missing, or HUD somehow lost.
All right, so look, man, I guess it's not really news. I mean, fucking the Pentagon loses money all the time. So I guess $6.2 billion is not that far-fetched to overlook that. But at the same time, maybe they overlooked it on purpose. We're not going to know everything, especially from the Hill. And I'm not saying anything against the Hill. It's just the first one that pulled up when I asked about that $6 billion. But at the same time, it's like, dude, if it's a clerical error and we have this $6 billion surplus, why don't we just fucking use it in Hawaii? I feel like Ukraine is pretty stocked up, bro. We should be able to fucking... instead of just cutting $700 checks to people that literally like lost family members and lost homes and shit, and we're just cutting $700 checks, but we're cutting fucking Ukraine $6.2 billion that we accidentally over-evaluated, but we gave them the money anyways. Excuse me. Yeah, look, man, I'm staying off this computer now. I just wanted to practice with it a little bit with. Yeah, but look, man, that's a lot of money, bro. Let's talk about $6.2 billion, bro. $6.2 billion. For each billion, that's what, like, 100. No, that's like 100 million. I'm pretty sure, dude. I remember one time in 29 Palms, me and a buddy, we convinced another buddy that there was no such thing as the number a billion. Or we didn't convince him, but we had him convinced that we were 100% sure that number did not exist. So we a billion. And he's like, well, what about $1 billion and one? And we'd be like, nah, man, it's not real. It's so bad, man. But this is like the guy I'm talking about. God, he's a great dude, but he's the kind of dude that, you know, would tie 550 cord to a rock to give it to a junior Marine so that junior Marine can walk the rock, you know, to learn discipline or whatever. There's some shit, man, that Marines do to younger dudes that's all in good faith and good love. And, you know, obviously you want these guys to be well trained. You want them to be disciplined and stuff like that. So you're going to fuck with their mind a little bit. And sometimes you have to, you know, for example, you get a young Marine that leaves their weapon all over the place, right? So there's a couple things you can do to try to make sure that doesn't happen in the future. One, you can dummy cord something to his body that he doesn't want to carry around all the time, like a big rock. And, you know, when I say dummy cord, you take 550 cord, you tie a big rock to your body. Then it's hard to lose the rock when it's tied to your body. And we have to move. We have to make movements all the time. So guess what? You're lugging that fucking rock around. I don't know. That's just good training. What else? Yeah, so I don't know where that came from. Like I said, I'm not really staying on any points tonight. I'm just kind of fucking going off the rip. And that's just a lot of fucking money, man. It's a lot of money to overlook, but it was caught pretty quick. I mean, we've only been in Ukraine for like a year and some change. But, dude, Why? I'm an American. I shouldn't be using terms like we've been in Ukraine. Why am I saying that? Because it's been made so familiar. It's just so publicly accepted that the United States is dabbling in the Ukraine. You know what I mean? It's just public knowledge is completely acceptable. No one gives a shit. No one seems to care, right? And they keep dabbling in that war. And it's like now, as you know, I talk to this camera sometimes. I try to come up with things to talk about, and things that come to mind are things that I see in the media, and just off the rip, I say things like, since we've been in Ukraine, we don't even have troops there. We're just so financially obligated to whatever the fuck's going on there. And I mean, I'm sure, politicians are lining their pockets, but dude, Lil, I've been saying shit and I put shit on TikTok and stuff, like little clips, not lately because I'm trying to get away from TikTok, but I've been putting little clips on TikTok about, just kind of how like politicians are kind of shady and the Biden family's kind of shady a little bit. I mean, I'm being nice. They're really fucking shady, right? And they're lining their pockets with all kind of foreign fucking money. So like, but when I say shit like that, like people get really fucking pissed off in the comments, and it's like, bro, like, what are you? They're fucking. You're their family lawyer, bro. Like, why are you getting so intense about this shit? Like, these guys are just crooks. Even if you didn't believe they were crooks, like, why are you so fucking hell bent on defending them in the comment section? It's just like, I don't know. It's kind of gnarly to see how is it just. See, like I said, I'm not a Democrat or Republican, and I guess there's crazy Republicans, but I don't know if it's just crazy Democrats, the ones that are so far left that it's just, it seems like you say Hillary Clinton or you say, you just say the words, right? You just say the name, and they just want to rip your fucking face off. like they're so ready to come to these people's defense, but these people are fucking crooks. They're crooks. They're all crooks. They're all crooks. I'm telling you, man. They're all fucking crooks. And we're making more crooks. We're making Ukrainian crooks. All them politicians are becoming crooks, too, if they weren't already. And then, I mean, I'm not going to talk shit about Putin, but I'm pretty sure he's a fucking crook, too, and he's kind of a murderous dude. All these dudes are shady, man. They're all fucking shady. Shady crooks. And it's just crazy to see how people come to the defense of these shady crooks. Like these shady fucking crooks. And they do shit so blatant in front of your face. I don't know. I'm sorry. I was listening to another podcast come out with Joe Rogan talking to Tulsi Gabbard, and BJ Penn was on there too, the fighter. And yeah, they were talking about some deep state shit. And it's crazy, man. Just the amount of shit they'll do right in front of our fucking faces. And then they do this crazy shit, and they don't even have to fucking speak to the press about it because they hire a press secretary, like the press secretary they got now. That chick, like, she's solid, man, and she seems like a tough, hard-headed chick, man. But those are the kind of people they need to defend the decisions and the actions they make to the press. Are those hard-headed, you know what I mean, like pit bull type people, to defend them because they can't defend themselves. Biden can't even fucking speak English, bro. I mean, yeah, he can speak English, I'm sure, but like he can't fucking form sentences, dog. But yeah, I don't know. He's a crook, man. He's a fucking crook, dude. Why? If somebody ever had a chance to talk to this cat, Joe Biden, bro, and you were just like, listen, man, I just want to know personally, like, for real. Like, no, I'm not going to tell no journalists. You know, it's a secret between you and I. But, bro, like, why the fuck are you in Ukraine, dog? Like, why do you want to go to Ukraine? Like, why are we there? Why are we giving them money? I just want to know what he says. Like, an honest answer. Because you know you're not going to get an honest answer out of these guys. Even if you like the politician, they're not going to give you an honest answer. And we've talked about this shit, man. They're just going to tell you what you want to hear because their job is to win elections. That's their fucking job, man. And a lot of them, well, not a lot of them, the ones we see are good at their job. They win elections. They're just good at it, I guess. I guess we could segue. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what's been going on, I guess, political-wise. It's just, I guess the reason why we're talking about that is because it's just surprising how burnt to the fucking ground Hawaii just got that little island. I guess was it Maui? They got. I'm not even sure. I'm not really too sure about the names of all the islands. I know there's one big island, and then there's a bunch of smaller ones. But I'm not too familiar. I've never been there, so I don't know. But I know one of those islands got burnt to the fucking ground, and the first thing that their governor said was here's $700 check for each family that lost fucking everything, and then as well we're trying to push legislation so we can take over your land, bro. And I'm sure there's going to be I guess that's eminent domain, isn't it? Where the federal government can come and seize your land or take your land, or they can give you what their perceived value is for the land. So if they shortchange the value on the land, they can literally just cut you a check for whatever they perceive the value is, and then they take ownership. That's eminent domain. Eminent domain. I just want to double check and make sure because I remember learning about eminent domain in school when I was doing aviation stuff, because a lot of times airports, when they see a good spot where they want to put a big airport hub, they're gonna do their terrain evaluation, and they're gonna do whatever evaluations they're gonna do, and then they're gonna find a spot where it's most just beneficial to have the hub, the airport itself, right? And if there might be people that own some of that land on that spot, they want to put the airport. So I guess that's why they teach you about eminent domain in aviation type schools, is because the federal government can step in and use eminent domain to seize the land for whatever perceived value they determine. So they pay the landowner, the original landowner, whatever they say the value of the land is. So if your land value to you is however much it is, if the market value from what you see is whatever you think it is per the market, the federal government can have their own evaluator come out and say, no, this is what it's worth. This is what we're going to cut you a check for. That's eminent domain. So this is, I guess, fucking Microsoft Bing, dude. I don't know why this computer always brings me there, but eminent domain is the power of government to take private property for public use. The government can only exercise the power if it shows that the property is needed for a public purpose. The government must also pay the owner a fair compensation, which is usually the market value of the property. Eminent domain is also known as condemnation or expropriation. Yeah, so like I said, I can't believe I remember. Dude, I almost said that like verbatim. I can't believe I fucking remembered that shit from college. I guess, when you actually study shit sometimes, it sticks with you. Maybe it's because it's a federal government and just the power of the federal government. Maybe that's probably why I remembered it, because that I find that is a strong fucking power. Like, that's a power that is just, no other company can do that. No private company in America can do that. But the federal government can take your land if they see that your land can benefit the public. If there's a public purpose if there can be a purpose for the pub that benefits the public with your land, they can take it. No other company can do that. Just the federal government. Just the federal government. And another thing about the federal government, I think it's also the only company that I think can't sue. Can you not sue the federal government? Can you sue the federal government? Yes. Okay. U.S. citizens have the right to sue both the state and federal government. This means you can earn compensation if you were hurt or harmed by a government agency or employee. I don't know where I got that from then. Maybe, is that recent though? Because maybe it's recent, because not recent. I mean, like probably within the last 10 to 20 years. But I know for a long time, you just simply were not able to sue the federal government. Or maybe I'm talking from like a military standpoint, because maybe that's what they told us in the military. Let me check. I don't know. Can military personnel sue the federal government? All right, let's see here. No, that's what I got. Since 1950, since members have been barred. Oh, excuse me. So the question I asked initially was, can military personnel sue the federal government? Blatant answer is no, and then it goes into some detail. Since 1950, service members have been barred from suing the government for medical malpractice after the Supreme Court that year ruled in the case of Ferris versus United States that active duty troops cannot sue the government for personal injuries suffered while in service, according to the Register. Okay, so I guess in up till 1950, you were able to sue them, but now you can't. And then, I mean, I believe that because they botch a lot of fucking shit. Their medical botches a lot of shit. So I imagine they probably looked at a lot of lawsuits up until 1950. Dude, I got I got 2 surgeries, and one of them is kind of, I don't know, adult rated. Well, not really necessarily. I'm sure there's a lot. Well, yeah. I mean, the one I'm talking about was a hemorrhoidectomy. Yes, I had hemorrhoids fucking surgically removed. And it was probably going through that healing process was probably one of the most extremely painful things, physically painful things I've ever done in my life. And I never want to do it again. And another one, I got the septoplasty. I guess at the time I snored a lot. I think I still snore a lot, but I'm not really sure. But I've always been told up until that surgery that I was a really bad snorer, and so I guess the doc, the ENS, is that what they're called? ENS? Esophagus, nose? No. ENS doctors. The ones that do the neck and throat and the nose, whatever those ones are. I think it's ENS, but I don't fucking know. But yeah, I guess they took a look and they said that my passage was like for some reason restricted up there, so they wanted to widen it up. So they did a septoplasty. I'm not really sure much more about it besides the name of it. I remember the name, and I remember the healing process for that. That was shitty, but again, like anytime I'm sick or I consider healing process from a surgery, I consider that like basically you're out of work and shit, so you're kind of like I guess you're sick. I'm just a big baby, dude. So I was probably just a big baby about it, but by far the hemorrhoidectomy was that was just so. I'm glad I did it because by God, even standing like in formation was fucking painful sometimes. Sitting was painful. Driving was painful. Like that's just how bad my hemorrhoids were, dude. So like finally. I know this is a lot of information. That's something I've learned too. Like, if you're gonna try to go do the YouTube thing, like, and I've only been doing it for a little minute, man. But if you're gonna try to do this, you're eventually gonna get personal, man. Your personal, private life is gonna come out. If you're gonna sit in front of camera for 30 minutes a day, every day, you can't really avoid it. So fuck it. It is what it is. I had a hemorrhoidectomy. It wasn't pretty. It was fucking painful, and the healing process was fucking painful. Something I never want to go through again. And I recommend, like, if you can, look, man, there's a bunch of shit you can do to try to avoid getting hemorrhoids, and I don't want to get in depth on those things right now, but I recommend if you are worried that you might suffer from hemorrhoids or may in the future, then maybe use Google and figure out some methods to try to avoid that, because you don't want to go through that, man. You just don't want it. You don't want that heat, my friend. You don't want that fire, bro. But yeah, it got me. But when I did have that hemorrhoidectomy, I was living in the barracks, and I was doing like, because I had like, what was it, like 2 weeks they gave me off work to heal, and I remember like the first time I went to take a dump, dude. Jesus Christ, this is getting crazy, but fuck it, I'm telling you, the first time I went to take a dump, I just remember like there was a lot of blood. And I kind of dazed off. Like I'm pretty sure, like I kind of passed out a little bit, but I didn't like hit my head or nothing. But like it was painful. It was really, really painful because you still got to do your regular bodily functional things, man. And it's like doing that instead of with your regular feces, it feels like you're pooping knives out, man. It was painful, and that's as graphic as I'll get, and I'll leave it there. But do your best to try to avoid getting hemorrhoids. They suck a lot. So, but yeah, but I do remember I did get like 2 weeks off of regular whatever infantry garrison lifestyle we were living, training and shit like that, regular everyday type shit. I did get like two what do they call it? 2 weeks SIQ, I think, sick in quarters they called it. And I was on painkillers, and I was just going through like Facebook Marketplace, and I was literally like buying and selling like flat screen TVs, because in the Marine Corps, dude, like people are coming in and getting out all the time. So people are moving out of Jacksonville, North Carolina, and they're selling all their shit all the time. And then people are always coming in, from other duty stations or from boot camp or whatever. So they're always trying to get a TV or something for their barracks room. And if you can find, what I mean, like someone who wants to get rid of their shit, you can pretty much lowball them to the point where you're making pretty decent fucking profit margins. You know what I mean? Flipping TVs in the barracks. So I was doing that for like 2 weeks, and I think I made good. Like, I don't know, I want to say like I made like $600 or $700 profit just in those 2 weeks, and a free TV I got out of it too. I remember, because of just out of the profits at the end of that 2 weeks, I had an extra TV at the end of it. It's like a 55-inch 4K. It was pretty dope. But yeah, man, I got into hustling a little bit just because I had the time, and you know what I mean. I was healing from the surgery, so I figured I said, fuck it, I'm not gonna waste my time sitting on my. And that's something I wish I had I got to learn from the person I used to be. I think I forget sometimes, and I don't know if we're all guilty of this, but I definitely am guilty of this. Sometimes I forget, like, the person I was, man. I forget the dude I was. Like, I used to wake up early as fuck. I would literally, like, when I had my own dudes, when I had my own fucking squad and shit, I would wake up and PT at my house, dude, before I'd go down to the fucking barracks and PT the boys. Like, I was a fucking hard charger rock star, bro. And it seems like now it's just like, what the fuck happened to that guy? Like, my buddy hit me up last night, and he's like, yo, man, let's go for a run, dude. And I was tempted, man. I was like, oh. But then I didn't. And it's just like, dude, I feel like if it was me, 6, 7, 8 years ago, my hard charging days, I'd have been like, fuck yeah, let's go. I probably would have been like half drunk and still out jogging with my boys. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just what happened to that guy, man. It's like that guy has been like fucking kicked and stomped and demoralized, and I don't know. It's really fucking sad to think about. But it's nice to know that dude did exist. And maybe he is deep down in there, man. I don't know. It'd be really dope if he was, and it'd be really dope if he fucking came out sometimes, if he was in there. Or maybe that dude's dead, man. Maybe that dude's gone. Maybe that hard charger, that fucking Corporal Murray type, Maybe maybe that man died the day I walked off Camp Lejeune. You know what I mean? And maybe that's not a bad thing either. Maybe that's where he's at. Maybe I left that guy there, and maybe that's where he needs to stay. Because that guy, yeah, he was a badass hard charger, but maybe he shouldn't have stayed there. Maybe he should have stuck with me, man. I say it, I'm dividing myself into like two people, which is crazy. But literally, the person I am today versus the person I was then, they're two different people. There's no fucking other way to talk about that. Like, there's no way to get around that. I'm the man I am today versus the man I was then. We're just two completely different people. Like, now, dude, I used to fucking, deploy with, with badass dudes to go fight other dudes that, let's be real, wanted me dead, right? And now, like, I don't even want to get on an airplane. Like, dude, is that age, though? Is that age, or is it just, I don't know what the fuck it is. But I do know that man and the man I am today were just two different men. And I think that should be a good thing, maybe to a certain extent, maybe not completely a good thing. I think there was a lot of good parts about that dude I was. Well, maybe the good parts still stick with me, man. Maybe those are the good parts, or maybe the good parts are the parts that are similar to that younger me. But maybe the parts I'm looking at that I thought were good parts, like the physical training, just the pain leaving the body was like a good thing type of mindset. Maybe that's the kind of shit that I just kind of grew out of. I don't know. I really don't know, man. And look, dude, today, like I said, it was just me ranting. But I want to be real with you guys, man. I think I am different. I'm a different man than I was back then, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, and I don't think that's necessarily a great thing either. I think there's a lot of parts of me that stayed back in the day where it belongs, and then I think there's hopefully the good parts that came with me. All right, dude, I'm gonna get off that rant because that's one of those things that I'm gonna get into talking about, and just gonna talk in circles, man, because I think deep down I'm always gonna miss that old me, man, and there's no other way around it. There's no other way for me to explain it. I guess maybe 10, 20 years from now, I'll look back and miss this me, or not. Maybe I'll look back and be like, dude, what the fuck were you doing? Who knows, man? But I do know that I want to look back and be able to say I was consistent with something. So hopefully this can be something I build into something consistent. Anyways, hey, check it out. I had a great time with you guys tonight, as I do always. I love you guys. Please like, follow, subscribe to the Treeline podcast as well. Please share it. I know I haven't been saying that a lot, but please share. Like, follow, subscribe, and share the Treeline podcast. Again, the Treeline podcast store. It's up now on all the platforms, so you can access it. I'm not asking to buy anything. If you can, great. Support the podcast. Sorry, I'm burping. But if not, I'm not going to hold it against you. I know money's tight. My fucking finances are tight right now. I can't even afford my own merchandise. So so if you guys can, take a picture of it and then tag Treeline Podcast so I can see it. That'd be really cool to see you guys wearing that shit. Otherwise, what else? Yeah, I love you guys. Keep it real and keep fighting the good fight, and we'll take it one day at a time. Deuces.